First, Kyiv is pressing forward with its cross-border offensive in the Kursk region in what appears to be the most significant attack on Russian soil since the war began. Ukraine's Air Force says it destroyed all 27 Russian drones launched overnight. Meanwhile, at least 4 people have been killed in the Ukrainian town of Kostiantynivka in fresh Russian artillery strikes this Friday. The rescue operation underway to find survivors under the rubble. Well, for some analysis on that, I'm joined on set by our international affairs editor, Rob Parsons. Good to see you, Rob, as always. What's the latest we're hearing from the ground on that Ukrainian incursion then?
Well, the first thing is that it's clearly still ongoing. I mean, a couple of days ago, we had the Chief of Staff of the Russian Armed Forces, Valery Gerasimov, saying that it had been stopped and was being pushed back. It clearly is not the case. The Ukrainians were making advances on Thursday, and overnight they seem to have made more. It's not just the first invasion by Ukrainian armed forces, discounting Russian volunteers earlier in the conflict, but it's the first invasion of Russia since the Second World War, and it's causing confusion and disarray on the Russian side, which clearly is one of the intentions of the Ukrainian armed forces. They have now moved at a maximum point to about 40 kilometers inside of Kursk region in Russia. They've taken around 400 square kilometers of Russian territory, which is roughly speaking about the same as what Russia has achieved in its offensive in the Donbass area over the last few months at enormous cost. But this has been carried out at great speed, clearly well thought through, well planned. Even Russian military experts in the Russian media have been saying how well this operation has been conducted by the Ukrainians. And it is causing casualties. There was one incident overnight near the town of Rilsk in Kursk region, where a column was hit by Ukrainian armed forces, presumably by HIMARS, which seems to have been the worst single incident of its kind during the war. People are talking online of 200 to 300 Russian soldiers killed. So this is coming at great cost to the Russians, causing a lot of confusion and making them worry too about the possibility of the Ukrainians taking control of a nuclear power station not very far away from where the fighting is going on at the moment, just a few dozen kilometers in the town of Kurchatov, between the fighting and Kursk, the main capital of the region.
And what would you say then is the main aim of this incursion? Is it more territorial conquest, or is it even a destabilization of the Russian command?
There's a lot of confusion about this, it has to be said, primarily because the Ukrainians are saying almost nothing at all about what their plans are and what's happening on the ground. We had a rather cryptic remark from the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who said Russia brought war to Ukraine, and now Russia should be made to feel the consequences of that. But that is all we've really got from the Ukrainian side. We've had the Russian media talking about what the possible plans could be. They've noted, as I was just saying, that this is an operation that has been skillfully conducted according to the manuals of how to conduct a military operation, and it's causing pain to Russia. That clearly is one of the aims of the Ukrainians, to cause as much pain as possible to the Russian side in order to force the Russians to move troops from where they're attacking Ukraine in the central belt of the Donbass region to relieve the Russians in Kursk. That objective, from what we can gather at the moment, seems to be happening because the Russians are moving their troops to try and push the Ukrainians back. So that objective appears to be achieved. But more long-term, what are the Ukrainians trying to achieve here? You mentioned holding territory. At first, it was thought that they were not intending to push very deep into Russia, just a few kilometers, take two or three towns and hold it there. But it seems that their ambitions are greater than that. They've already taken some 25 villages and settlements and are pushing deeper all the time. So is the plan, therefore, to occupy as much as they can now and then hold it, perhaps as a bargaining chip, if peace negotiations get underway anytime soon to balance against the losses that they've suffered elsewhere during the conflict. That's certainly a possibility. But at some point, they're going to have to say to themselves, how far can we go? How much land can we occupy? Because the Russians are slowly beginning to get their act together. They're moving forces into the region and will start to put pressure on the Ukrainians. They will have to ask themselves, are we in a position to be able to hold the territory that we've taken?
Right, our international affairs editor, Rob Parsons, thank you very much for your analysis, as always.